Aaron, and she talks.
$10 was just very serious.
Have you ever seen those commercials on television that are absolutely baffling? Picture this: gauzy curtains, a gorgeous model turning seductively, smoky eye makeup and an electrifying gaze. It's a Pepsi advertisement. As the commercial segues away, you're left with an impression. Never mind that the model had nothing to do with soda. It leaves the average male viewer with a good feeling. Propaganda works like that. It might be pride, anger, pity, fear. Propaganda appeals to emotion. The difference between advertising and propaganda, however, is intention. Propaganda can be defined as the dissemination of information used to promote a certain point of view. This is a political strategy and the content is usually biased. Animal Farm, a fairy story, illustrates the frightening consequences of the use of propaganda. Written in 1945 by George Orwell, the novella is an allegory of the Russian Revolution. The animals of Manor Farm overthrow the reigning power, Mr. Jones. The state of affairs established forthwith is based upon the teachings of Old Major and dubbed animalism. Its core value is, all animals are equal. However, as the rebellion recedes into memory, the pigs abuse their newfound authority. Society becomes a less than ideal place to live in. Here is an overview of the abuse of power in Animal Farm. Number 1. Filling the power vacuum. Number 2. The language offensive. Number 3. Application of force. Number 4. Identifying the enemy. The first step leading to the abuse of authority is assuming power within the society. Due to their superior knowledge, the pigs inevitably move into the power vacuum left by Mr. Jones to take the position of the brain workers of the farm. Snowball is a charismatic, idealistic pig, while his arch-nemesis is the more taciturn Napoleon. They are representative of Leon Trotsky and Joseph Stalin of the 20th century post-Tsarist Russia. In contrast, the other animals seem quite content to be followers. One of the most faithful disciples of animalism is Boxer the horse. He finds thinking anything out for himself a great challenge, and, consequently, he lives by the simplistic mottos, "I will work harder," and "Napoleon is always right," as if they will solve all of life's problems. Boxer epitomizes the working-class hero of a totalitarian society. Hard-working but stupid, Boxer is the ideal vector of the pigs' propaganda. During times of hardship, Boxer is the admiration and inspiration for the rest of the animals. The fact that he buys so completely into the pigs' arguments and twisted logic as time goes on drags the entire psyche of his peers down the same unquestioning path of loyalty. The second aspect in the abuse of power is the use of language as a weapon. Foremost in the propaganda campaign is a pig named Squealer. He is who Molotov was to Stalin, right-hand man and minister of propaganda. Fittingly named, Squealer is a brilliant talker who can turn black into white. He is the master of language and employs many befuddling oratory techniques to manipulate the lower class into compliance. In one instance, the pigs take to sleeping in the beds of a farmhouse. When the animals question this as distinctly against the essence of animalism, Squealer oversimplifies the situation. "You would not have us too tired to carry out our duties? Surely none of you wishes to see Jones back." Faced with such an ultimatum, the animals immediately withdraw their criticisms. If they could be sure of anything, it was that they did not want humans to rule them. Lacking Squealer's masterful grasp on words, they cannot articulate their uneasiness or argue against the pigs' decadence. It is a testament to Squealer's genius that he employs two logical fallacies in his argument. First is the slippery slope fallacy. Let's illustrate with a real-world example. It's the period after lunch and you're sitting in class. You suddenly feel an urgent need to go to the restroom.
Miss, may I please go to the toilet?
Why didn't you go during lunchtime?
Please, miss, it's urgent.
If I let you go, next time the whole class will want to go to the restroom in the period after lunch. And if that happens, then there will be a whole school toilet marathon during period 4. No. In context, Squealer paints the pigs' fatigue from being forbidden from sleeping in a man-made bed as a direct cause for the return of Jones. Second is the fallacy of the false dilemma, which involves unfairly presenting two choices and then implying that a decision must be made from this short list.
Let the pigs sleep in beds or let Jones return.
Thirdly, Squealer is appealing to the emotions, indirectly threatening the return of human dominance. The animals are cowed into submission. Now, if there was one thing that the animals were completely certain of, it was that they did not want Jones back. When it was put to them in this light, they had no more to say. The third part in the misuse of power in Animal Farm is the application of force. Napoleon, as previously mentioned, is an allegory of Stalin. History puts the cunning nature of this character in perspective. In 1924, Vladimir Lenin, the communist leader of the 1917 Russian Revolution, passed away. With an eye on the succeeding position, the wily Stalin deliberately misinformed Trotsky about the date of Lenin's funeral. When Trotsky failed to turn up to pay his respects, it made him look bad in the eyes of the Communist Party. In the same vein of treachery, Napoleon takes no interest in anything except the education of the young. When the dogs whelped, the puppies were reared in seclusion by Napoleon. It is only further in the novel that Napoleon's true cunning is revealed. 9 enormous dogs wearing brass-studded collars respond to a unique call of his, immediately expelling Snowball violently from Animal Farm. By snatching the dogs from the cradle, Napoleon has been able to brainwash them into absolute obedience. After his political enemy is ousted by force, Napoleon becomes the unrivaled leader of the lower class. Whenever the animals raise protests against the pigs' blatant violation of animalism, they are instantly quelled by growls that send shivers down all the animals' spines. The utilization of Napoleon's secret police commits the fallacy of argumentum ad baculum, or the appeal to force. Baculum refers to walking stick, which could be used to beat the opposing party into submission. Instead of applying rational discussion, the leader appeals to violence to bring about the acquiescence of his subjects. Another tactic that the pigs employ is the suppression of opinion. The general ignorance of the lower class of animals on the farm enables the pigs to exploit their dominant status. The simple-minded sheep especially are indoctrinated and are liable to break into 4 legs good, 2 legs bad at crucial moments. The sheep's overwhelming repetition, added to the threat of the terrifying dogs, essentially obliterates any freedom of speech. Lastly, in the abuse of authority is the creation of a scapegoat. With falsified evidence like footprints and the destruction of farm property, coupled with the spreading of rumors, Napoleon's government depicts Snowball as a destructive, omnipresent threat. Whenever anything went wrong, it became usual to attribute it to Snowball. That is, Snowball is made out to be the fall guy, even when it is physically or logically impossible. The animals were thoroughly frightened. It seemed to them as though Snowball was some kind of invisible influence, pervading the air around them and menacing them with all kinds of danger. In addition, Napoleon uses name-calling to reinforce the air of uncertainty and instability. Snowball, contrary to the truth, is no better than a criminal, and is a dangerous character and a bad influence. With the pigs feeding them convincing untruths, the animals come to rely on their wise and knowing leaders to maintain a sense of security and a collective front against the invasive, hovering spectre of a treacherous scapegoat. The lower class has become putty in the pigs' trotters, malleable and vulnerable. In conclusion, let's revise what we have been through. In Animal Farm, the pigs succeeded Jones and exploited the naivety of the other animals. Napoleon used the fallacy of the appeal to force to silence contrary opinions. Squealer was able to use his clever handle on words to justify the pigs' increasing corruption. Moreover, the creation of a menacing scapegoat exhorted the lower class into complete reliance on the decaying leadership. The exercise of propaganda, with brutal enforcement, corrupted the values of the original Animal Farm. A place in which all animals are equal has transformed into the exact oppressive rule that the animals had experienced under Mr. Jones, if not worse still. The worst part of this fairy tale is the fact that the animals retained imperishable pride in being part of Animal Farm. Although they were trapped in a lifestyle of starvation and labor, they continued to believe in their depraved leadership, which was destined to betray the very precept that they were founded on.